Hi, Mara. Thank you very much. Live from Oak Lawn United Methodist Church. Beautiful organ in the background. So I greatly appreciate after a very, very busy workday that you take your time and help me with this school project. So I'm in an entrepreneurship class, and we have to come up with a project, a product, possibly a service, something that would satisfy a need that we feel the community or this area has, that we could satisfy with that. And so I'm going to read to you what concept I came up with, and then we're going to talk over the who I'm thinking that would be addressing to, the what it is, and the why. We'll kind of have a little discussion over that. So the concept of Dallas Total Recycling is providing a drop-off location for various recycling goods. This site, the sites are operated and maintained by individuals that are currently living at the margin. Dallas Total Recycling sells the recycled goods to producers and manufacturers that can repurpose those goods. This will help the DFW community in several levels. First, it will reduce the amount of trash that lands on landfills. Secondly, it reduces the new resources used to manufacture goods. And lastly, it helps to give individuals living at the margin a re-entry to the society by giving them a value and a purpose. So that's the overall concept. So I thought potential individuals that would use a service like that or would feel enticed to be participating in that would be the general DFW Metroplex general residents. Even though a lot of people have recycling services, there's a lot of things that are not recycled and end up still in landfills. So I would say that the really motivated people would be the conscientious individuals that really want to make a difference, and individuals that would feel that they want to support a good organization that makes a difference in the community by, as I said, to involve marginalized individuals to re-enter into society. So those are the two main groups that I thought would probably feel enticed by that project. Would you see yourself as somebody who would use something like that? And could you imagine somebody else, or you feel those individual groups that I thought of wouldn't be the appropriate ones?
Yeah, well, for myself, yes, I think I probably would use something like that if I knew. I mean, there's, as you mentioned, there are a lot of services like that out there already, and I live in Dallas, like kind of in the middle of Dallas, so there's a lot close to me. Like I can go less than 2 miles to get to a place that'll take all the stuff I want to recycle. But I guess if I knew the company was a nonprofit specifically trying to help people, you know, like a re-entry program almost, or a if it were contributing back to people that are marginalized and oppressed, then that might make a difference for me to bring my stuff to them first. And I think eco-conscious probably, and general residents, yeah, but I think you might even, I'm just kind of, I guess, reflecting on the fact that people will donate to us because they keep seeing us on the news as helping homeless people. And so they know that, like, if they donate to us, it doesn't go into some big machine of a system. It goes directly back to the people. So if it was clear that there was you know, like storylines of people that are helped, that have jobs and purpose and are kind of able to redevelop themselves. I would think there'd be a whole subpopulation of those that are interested in that kind of work that would donate to, or would not donate, but, you know, bring their, choose you as a recycling company.
So let me ask you this. Does your apartment or your complex that you live at, do they offer a recycling service like ours has a pickup? They come and pick up all the recycling, at least the stuff that they do recycle. And there's a whole long list of stuff that they do not accept, even though they would be perfectly recyclable. Or do you have to, no matter what, you have to go somewhere to drop it off?
We have our HOA has a service that we use, but it's pretty restrictive, I guess.
So so currently, are you one of those people, and with no judgment, like, okay, I do not want to, and I don't want to go and look because, you know, it's really not anywhere close by and I don't even know where to look for. And so you just go and put it in the trash? Or are you a person that you actually look around to see, okay, no, I do really want to recycle it, and I'll go and search for a place?
Yeah, I'm probably more on the, no, I actually want to recycle it, especially when it comes to, like technology, for example, is one big thing. And I'm also kind of picky about what I recycle, though. I don't just, if it's actually trash, like clothing, you know, the gamut of recycling to me is so big. Like if it's textiles, like material, that's one thing. But if it's in terms of technology or glass and plastic, of course, and paper, no, I genuinely look for companies that will take the stuff that I'm trying to get rid of so I don't have to throw it in the trash.
Okay. So then that leads us into, and you kind of make a good segue. What I put down, obviously it's a service that we offer, and the service is that what are we all would accept. And I put down some of the stuff is like the regular stuff that most services already accept. But if you have to go and do an extra drive anyway, you may feel motivated to drop that stuff as well, even though your complex already offers it. So I put down like newspapers, books, magazines, any, possibly I said even a shredding service, like stuff that you want to have shredded, because it's still paper. And if you can get it recycled that way at the same time and don't have to pay, I mean, what do you pay if you go to Office Max? You pay a ridiculous amount of money to get your stuff shredded. And then, yes, I get that service, but the recycling, it could be done at the same place. Glass, aluminum. A big one for me is batteries. Like literally, where do I go and drop off batteries? Electronics, which you already mentioned, but as well wood, for example. Like you have this piece of IKEA furniture that broke apart, and like, oh, okay, I guess the only thing I can do is put it in the trash.
Right.
That could be possible, could be recycled as well, because there's some cardboard in the middle sometimes. So there's stuff like that. Is there anything else that you would feel like, oh yes, I would add to that list? What?
Well, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about this, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know that there's a lot of issue with like clothing getting donated that ends up in landfill. And I don't know if there's better ways to like separate out clothing that's like, you know, if it's purely cotton, can you recycle that? Or if it's spandex, what do you do with that? But like I've worked in donation centers before and like worked in churches where you receive a lot of clothing and like you just get so much that sometimes that ends up getting thrown away too. So if there was a way to say like, you know, if I knew not just that the clothing was getting used, you know, like with Goodwill or Salvation Army, not that it's getting like resold or something, but that there's a place where like this shirt can be sent and it'll be broken down and like it won't end up in a landfill somewhere. Like that would be huge, because I think I think what happens is people just put all their clothes together, whether it's like gross or like actually donatable, and then they just give it to somewhere. But if they knew the fabric could be reused or could be recycled, that would be really cool.
Yeah, that is a very interesting thing, because I do not know what, if fabric is one of those things that can be recyclable, or it has to be a certain type of fabric. That would be a very interesting thing to research about. Yeah. Things that you can think of?
Batteries are good. No, I mean, I don't think I've ever tried to recycle anything else.
Okay.
I think that
So
covers it.
let's move on to the last question, the last part of this discussion. So why would we do that? So I found as a motivator is like, we like to live where we live. And if we don't take care of our environment and where we live, we may need to move because we possibly freeze to death, which can happen. Or we have heat waves that make an area unlivable. Or because the landfills grow so bad and so big that they pollute the air with smell or whatever, that makes it unlivable as well. So that would be a reason why it would be a motivator for me. And the other thing is, as I said, I feel that if there is a project that individuals that live at the margin that have, like, there's no opportunity for them and there's no purpose, that something like that can give them a purpose and a motivation that may lead out of whatever circumstances they live in. And I feel inspired by, if you heard of Bonton Farms down in South Dallas, their concept is really motivating me, and it's kind of inspired me not to do something with having a farm, but having a recycling station, which addresses another need that I feel we have here in the US. Do you see any flaws in that thought process, or would you add another reason? And do you think those are good reasons, good motivators that this would satisfy a need?
So when you say, are you talking about paying people to work the center who are at the margin?
Because the idea is to take those goods that that are delivered, that drop off, sort them, and like, let's say a piece of furniture, break it down to the parts that can be recycled, and some parts are simply not recyclable. That's one thing, but the stuff that can be recycled versus just putting the whole thing to the category non-recyclable, to break it down and give somebody the opportunity to do that. And then you turn around and you sell those goods because they're still valuable for somebody to use it and put it back into the circle of manufacturing so that they can be reused for something to build again or to produce again.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one model with Bonton Farms, it's interesting, is there is incentive for people to work there, and it could be living there and receiving some housing. It could be payment. It could be.
That would be the idea, so that the money that you generate from the resale of those goods that have been dropped off for recycling, that you then can give a income to the individuals that work there. Yeah,
I mean, I think if you're doing something like that, that'd be a really interesting. It'd be an interesting model. I guess I would. I guess the only other thing, the complications of accountability. working with
Yeah.
that population, which is something that Bonton does really well. Also, they have, you know, covenants and contracts that they sign with them, and there are consequences if they act out, or if they disappear, or if they don't honor what they said they're going to do. So I guess maybe the only thing would be like considering how we might think it's valuable and helpful for them, but to get them to a point of being invested and interested in it is a different thing. And so I guess that's the only thought of like, well, this sounds like a great idea, and yeah, it would be interesting to see them work, but would they do it? Would they want to? Would it benefit them?
Yeah. So to actually see with people that would want that would be individuals that would be targeted for employment or being a part of that project, to actually as well talk to those and see, hey, if that project would be available, would you be interested? Would that be something, versus standing on the corner and asking for change?
Yeah. I mean, it might be kind of interesting to talk to the various, so like something I've noticed with churches and nonprofits that do a lot of work with, and this is only a subpopulation of those that I guess I would be considered marginalized, but if you're looking at the unsheltered population, they often, when they've received a lot of benefits, or they're in good relationship with those nonprofits, or like with even with us, like Billie Jean, for example, they become kind of a part of the system. And so like they start kind of working for the shelter, or they start giving back or engaging. It might be interesting to talk to like Austin Street or Salvation Army or Our Calling and say like, what did it take for them to come in as a client and then all of a sudden be invested enough to like do the work for you? Like, what does that process look like? Because they could probably tell you really easily, like, well, yeah, you can make them do that, but you might expect them to relapse, or you might expect them to need some additional counseling, or I don't know, but I would definitely want to know. And then, I mean, this is kind of a weird thought, but you could also maybe partner with organizations like that to offer your recycling service to them. So you have like a location at a shelter, or a location at a church, or a location, and then they have like a little team of people that they're people that are already working for them and already kind of cleared to like manage their recycling under the standards of your company.
Yeah.
I will say that something that I've noticed, which has always been kind of like baffling to me, is the level of stuff that unsheltered people walk around with. And
so you say that there's a potential for additional hoarding.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I guess what I'm saying is they find stuff to have, and then I don't know what they do with it, but like, there are times that Shannon shows up with a shopping cart overflowing, and then the next time I see him, he's like walking down the street with a t-shirt and a pair of shorts on. And you're like, where did all your stuff go? So like, I don't know if it's too niche, but to think about like, what are they doing with their stuff? Are they throwing it away? Like, what if they came to a shelter and they could dump some of it at a place that's going to recycle it and not just end up on the street or under the bridge or shoved into this person's alley, or I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff out there.
There's multiple
I know.
layers to it.
Multi-tiered.
And as this going to be further developed, there can be more layers added as well to this concept. So
Yeah. Cool.
I greatly appreciate your time and the very valuable input that you give. And obviously, working at Oak Lawn, you have a direct input in relation to one part of this whole equation that I'm trying to address with this project. So greatly appreciate your time. Yep. And I wish you a wonderful evening. Let me stop this recording.